Hi, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. I mean, no one's really in the clear until Wednesday's over, so we'll see. But I got evacuated. Then we were safe to come back, and I'm so angry. But I'm hoping that what's happening is going to wake people up to how inept our local government is.
I literally just said that, Anna. I said, if anything good comes out of this, it's that there's new leadership in California, and God willing, Gavin Newsom doesn't win in 2028, because that would be an epic catastrophe. And when I reached out to you, you said to me, I knew this was going to happen. I told everyone this was going to happen. So I want to start right there, because you have been doing that. What did you know? What were you saying? Where are we now? Go.
Well, what I've noticed with local government in California is just how little these politicians care about us. I mean, they show us every day. Following 2020, I mean, things have been so incredibly dysfunctional. To be fair, things had been dysfunctional in the state of California for a while, but it became more pronounced in 2020, and things have only devolved since then. So let me just be clear in stating that no one in California, no one in Southern California was surprised or shocked by the high-speed winds that we were hit with last week. We knew about it a week prior. We knew that those high Santa Ana winds were very likely going to create a situation in which a fire would get out of control, right? And so fires start for a multitude of reasons. We have aging power lines and infrastructure here that has sparked fires in the past. We have dry conditions, okay? Even though we had record rain last year and the year before that, this year we haven't had rain yet. So there are dry conditions. So you have the Santa Ana winds, the dry conditions, and you also have this aging electrical infrastructure that could spark a fire. And so what we needed more than anything was to be prepared for a worst case scenario. We needed to ensure that all of our reservoirs were filled. We're now learning that one of them, the Santa Ynez Reservoir that carries 117 million gallons of water, was emptied nearly a year ago for minor repairs. That reservoir should have been filled in the lead up to the Santa Ana winds. But what makes it clear to me that our mayor, Karen Bass, underestimated the fire weather is that she didn't do that. She didn't prepare, and in fact felt the need to go watch another sovereign country's president get inaugurated. That doesn't benefit the people of Los Angeles. I don't understand why Angelenos funded that trip to begin with, but it gives you a sense of what these local politicians really care about. And it's themselves, their own political careers, and it disgusts me. Gavin Newsom, in every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is the governor of this state.
Yeah.
He is pathetic. He's a snake. He's like the slimiest Democratic politician, certainly on a local level. But what we have seen is mismanagement of epic proportions, and the mere existence, and it is real, the existence of climate change should not be utilized as a talking point in order to pass the buck, in order to deflect blame, in order to refuse to take any personal responsibility for how poorly this state has been governed for several years now. I am so disgusted with these people. I mean, Newsom is the governor. He's the top dog in California.
You know, you blew the whistle on the PG&E scandal that I'm not hearing anything about right now, and I can't articulate the way that you do, and I learned about it, as mentioned, from you. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about that. You have a brilliant 20-minute video that I posted on X the other day, but can you encapsulate what happened there and what role Newsom played in letting PG&E off the hook?
Well, essentially what he did was bail out PG&E, even though PG&E essentially started the fires in Paradise, California.
Right.
They couldn't be bothered to replace a $10 hook that was nearly 100 years old, and that hook was holding the power lines up.
Right.
So just think about that. These hooks are basically falling apart. Power lines are falling. We have dry conditions in California. And so it's a tinderbox. We live in a tinderbox right now. I mean, Newsom, of course, also can't be bothered to clear the dry brush, had cut funding for that. Anyway, but putting that aside, after the fires happened in Paradise, California, and so many people lost their homes, lost everything they had worked for, Newsom comes in because PG&E is one of his major donors and it essentially bails them out and structures a settlement with the individuals who lost their homes in such a way that it's essentially tied to the value of the shares for the stock of PG&E. And so it created the situation in which the very people who lost everything because of the greed of this utility company now have to root for this utility company to maximize their profits if they are to get any money as part of their settlement. And there was a lot more to that story. It is a 20-minute video. Please check it out if you guys want to learn more.
In the comments below as well.
But it shows you that the Democratic Party, what I have noticed is that they engage in quite a bit of projection because they do love to point fingers at the inept governance of Republicans, the corruption that you see among the Republican Party. I mean, a good example of that is what happened in Texas when the privatized energy grid in Texas went out in the middle of a disastrous winter storm, and hundreds of people died as a result of that. That was also the crisis in which Senator Ted Cruz was caught going to Cancun for vacation.
I remember.
And Democrats had no problem calling him out for that. But for some reason, they are providing cover for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, leaving us behind in order to go see another country's president get inaugurated. So if you have any fire that you're directing toward Republicans for their inept governance, I am not going to take anyone seriously if they're unwilling to apply that same logic, that same reasoning toward Democratic lawmakers, Democratic politicians who have also failed the people who they're supposed to be representing. These people do not care about us. And at this point, there needs to be a reckoning within the Democratic Party in regard to their failures, in regard to the fact that they engage in the same behavior that they criticize their political opponents of. People lost everything. Okay, there's a coach in Altadena, California. He's known as Coach Walt, and he's lived in Altadena his entire life. He's known in the community because he spends a lot of time helping others. He lost everything. And just watching that man in tears, watching him attempt to be optimistic despite everything that's happening around us right now is inspiring, but also incredibly heartbreaking. Because, look, I spoke to someone who left California, after 2020, and she told me the reason why she decided to leave is because she realized if we were in crisis, no one was coming. That's how Californians feel right now. That's how Angelenos feel right now.